These people are comparing Riley Gaines, a biological female, speaking about her experience being cheated out of a tournament by a biological man in a woman's sport, to Jews in the Holocaust. What's up, guys? Welcome to Let It Be Heard, where we are doers of the word, not hearers only. I'm your host, Jaden.heard, and today we're going to be talking about the Riley Gaines situation, how she was punched in the face, and then the SGA says that the protests were peaceful? We'll check it out. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the situation, if you don't know who Riley Gaines is or Leah Thomas is, well, Riley Gaines and Leah Thomas actually tied for fifth in an NCAA racing, like swimming competition. And Riley Gaines was, I would say, normally should have got the trophy, but they gave Leah Thomas the trophy for photo shoot purposes, right? Weird stuff. Riley Gaines tells the whole story on numerous platforms, so I won't really go into that. But basically, Leah Thomas is a biological man transitioning into a woman to fulfill his weird fetish of portraying himself as a woman. Weird. But right now we have this article that we're going to go through. We have a couple articles, actually, of what the student government of San Francisco State is saying about Riley Gaines and her speaking around the country about her experience as a biological woman, with Leah Thomas being in her sport and taking over women's sports and women being in the back burner of women's sports. So let's get into it. So we have here from Campus Reform. This article is written by Heike Mirma, but let's get into this. So San Francisco State student government accuses Riley Gaines of hateful rhetoric and calls the protesters peaceful. Now, I'm actually very familiar with the story. Riley Gaines spoke at a university recently, and she got punched in the face by a man dressed as a woman. Yet these protesters are peaceful. And this is exactly what they did with the Black Lives Matter protests, where they called it mostly peaceful. When you had over 200 protests in the summer of 2020 get violent. That's not mostly peaceful. Let's keep going. The Associated Student shared a statement just days after Riley Gaines' attack at San Francisco State University, accusing her and her hosts of hateful rhetoric and promotion of violence. Are you kidding me right now? When has Riley Gaines ever said anything violent? The author, Associated Students President Karina Zamora, writes that the university's time, place, and manner of speech policies were weaponized to silence and threaten protesters. Wow. Heike writes, a student government leader at San Francisco State released a statement on April 10th that accused Riley Gaines and Turning Point USA. So Turning Point USA, if you don't know who that is a conservative organization. They have a national organization that have chapters on different campuses. I'm actually the president of one here at Auburn University. But anyway, the student government leader, SGA leader, holds a statement that says Riley Gaines was full of hateful rhetoric and promotion of violence. Associated Students shared the statement from its president, on his Instagram page just days after the Gaines attack at the university. She calls the protests over Gaines' views on transgender athletes peaceful and the presence of police both excessive and uncalled for. Now, if you guys have seen these videos, I'm surprised there wasn't more police. These people are violent. They'll scream anything at you. They'll touch you. They'll physically harm you, and they'll even threaten to kill you. You even have a related article right here that says, protesters mock Riley Gaines, tear down signs ahead of Buffalo Save Women's Sports event. It was very interesting. Again, she got punched in the face by a man. The San Francisco State Chapter Turning Point USA hosted Saving Women's Sports with Riley Gaines on the San Francisco State campus, an event that promoted discriminatory rhetoric towards trans women athletes. The statement begins. Zamora says that protesters followed the time, place, and manner guidelines. I highly doubt they did. Or policies that allow students to exercise their freedom of speech so long as their speech does not interfere with the safe and orderly operation of the campus. Protesters were, quote, given unwarranted warning cards threatening arrest if they violated the TPM policy. How is that unwarranted? There's a clear political bias here by the SGA of San Francisco, of course. It's in San Francisco. But these protesters were screaming at this girl who's just standing up for women's rights, women's sports rights. But let's continue. So apparently TPSA and Riley Gaines' team tried to quote unquote enforce or weaponize basically the time and place and manner policy to threaten the protesters. Wow, this is interesting. The statement claims that protesters were upholding the principles of social justice and positive change by speaking out against discrimination and in support of trans people, a reference to SFSU's mission statement. Administrators, according to Zamora, failed to uphold the principles their campus prides itself on. That's ridiculous. But I have an even crazier story. Look at this. So there's a video here of Buffalo protesters calling Riley Gaines a sore loser and the police pigs and the U.S. 1936 Germany. This is interesting because calling Riley Gaines a sore loser is the most ironic statement I've ever heard. Let me tell you why. The others, they're defending Leah Thomas, who was, what was she ranked? I'm sorry, not what was she ranked. I'm sorry, that was a slip. Lord forgive me. What was he ranked? Leah Thomas was ranked 400th something in the country. Maybe even worse than that. I don't even know. And this guy switches over to the other sport and is all of a sudden number one. That's what I call a sore loser because he's trying to fulfill his little weird fetish of being a woman. It sexually arouses him. If you haven't heard that story, go check that out. How Leah Thomas literally has a whole fetish on portraying himself as a woman. And it gets him off. And apparently there's a bunch of satanic imagery on his Instagram account. Weird stuff. But anyway, that's a real sore loser. Tying for 5th against a biological man and then speaking out against it, that doesn't make you a sore loser. What makes you a sore loser is being 400th in the country and having to cheat and switch genders to become a woman. That's a sore loser. Calling the police pigs, oh, give me a break. Police are just doing their job. And then the United States, 1936 Germany. You want to talk about 1936 Germany? What were they doing to the LGBT community? No one wants to talk about that. So let's read this article. During Riley Gaines' April 13th appearance at the University of Buffalo, protesters mocked Gaines and law enforcement and invoked Nazi Germany to describe the treatment of the trans community. Ridiculous. Riley Gaines says this: while they claim to be tolerant and loving and welcoming to all, that was not what I perceived based on their profane signs and chants. And that's exactly that's right on point. These people are all about acceptance and love and tolerance. And it's all just a lie. This article is written, by the way, by Shelby Kearns. She's the associate editor at Campus Reform. So she writes, during Riley Gaines' appearance at the State University of New York at Buffalo, student protesters held signs and led chants that mocked Gaines, criticizing law enforcement. We've read all that. What's interesting about this is that, again, these people claim to be tolerating, but they're tolerant of all these opinions. But they're gonna shut down your event. They're gonna shut down your speakers. They're gonna send them home. They're gonna scare them. They're gonna threaten them. They're gonna try to force them off campus, which is exactly what actually the Germans did. The Germans were the ones book banning and silencing people, and the people that were speaking out against the Holocaust, they silenced them. But let's keep reading. The event sponsors, Leadership Institute, is the parent organization of Campus Reform. Other signs read, it's giving 1936 Germany, and quote, I'm here because I'm a Jew, and this crap is giving me deja vu. How can you have deja vu if you didn't live in 1936 Germany? What a stupid statement. And you're a Jew? You're a Jew? You know what Jews believe about this stuff? Let's read the Old Testament. Let's read Leviticus 19. Let's read Genesis 1. God created the male and female. I mean, come on, y'all. This is just... Gaines told Campus Reform that it was brought to her attention that most of these protesters weren't even students. Oh, my goodness. So these are just probably some adults coming on campus mad that kids are having a dialogue about issues and they want to shut it down. Though a previous report said that a Young Democratic Socialists of America, of course, chapter likely organized the protests. Campus Reform did not confirm its participants at the time of the publication. Yeah. Quote, while they claim to be tolerant and loving and welcome to all, that was not what I perceived based on their profane signs and chants. Many of them had signs that equated their experience as a trans-identifying individual to the genocide of Jews during the Holocaust. These people are comparing Riley Gaines, a biological female, speaking about her experience being cheated out of a tournament by a biological man in a woman's sport, to Jews in the Holocaust. Why? First, hold up. Why do we have to compare everything to the Holocaust, first of all? The only thing that we should be comparing Holocaust to the Holocaust is the modern day abortion. That's the only thing that we can compare to the Holocaust, at least in the modern day. Because the Holocaust dehumanized people, and then as a result, they were killed. Same with right now with abortion. We're dehumanizing the unborn, and we're killing them. But let me stay on topic. As audience members file into the venue to watch Gaines, of course, we all want to see Riley Gaines. I need to get her to Auburn. The videos depict students lining the sidewalk across the street chanting, "Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights." Another speaker takes the megaphone and leads protesters in queer liberation, not a simulation. What in the world? A protester in a tie-dye shirt and mask flips off the videographer and asks, "Do you want to F later?" And you know what? These people are so... Why is it always about sex? Why is it always about sex? It's always about sex with people like, oh, I bet you want to have sex with me. I bet you're secretly gay, aren't you? Like, you're just in the closet, so you're taking it out on, oh, you want to have sex with me, don't you? Oh, yeah, you want to have sex with me later? Like, why is it always about sex with these people? Weird. They're just so weird. They're perverts too. They're really perverted. It also shows their level of immaturity. I mean, just grow up. Have a conversation. In another clip, protesters surround a speaker who says that it is traumatizing when transgender athletes cannot compete according to their gender identity. Traumatizing. You're traumatized because biological men cannot participate in a woman's sport. That's what traumatizes you. It is isolating and dehumanizing. Dehumanizing? Having two different sports is dehumanizing? I mean, just listen to these people. Listen to these people. These people are just victim mindset. These people just want to be victims so bad. But they get a whole month. They get scholarships. They get their own bathrooms. We literally have transgender bathrooms. The only thing that these people need is their own sport. Give them their own sport. I'd pay to watch a bunch of transgenders fight against each other. I'd pay it. Protesters also turned their attention to law enforcement, of course. It's always the police's fault. Their first chant is "No justice, no peace, no fascists in our streets." You guys are the fascists. You guys are the fascists. You guys are the ones shutting down events. You guys are the ones holding up signs, degrading a woman, trying to preserve her rights in this country. You guys are the real fascists. You guys don't tolerate anybody's opinions. And what do? When you're a fascist, you shut down events. You shut down people's opinions. You don't allow discussions to happen. You silence the opposite side. Let's keep reading. After a member of University Police rides by the crowd on his bicycle, the crowd echoes the speaker holding the megaphone who yells, "Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe." And sadly, that's not true, because guess who you guys call when you get in trouble? Guess who you guys call when you're discriminated against on the streets? Guess who you guys call? Ghostbusters. All right. A different speaker claims that there are more protesters than supporters of Gaines. Quote, "That's why they had to bring the pigs out here to protect them." Wow. They don't have enough people on their side to stand up for themselves. When you turn the masses against the oppressor, the masses always win. And this is the unfortunate lie in this thing. He's wrong. The majority of people don't accept this stuff. The majority of people don't believe that women should be in men's sports. If he was true about this, then sure, whatever. But also, morality isn't based on the masses, sir. We don't base morality on the masses, because if that was true, then slavery was okay. Because if that's true, then the Holocaust was okay. Because if that was true, then whatever is popular at the moment is okay. Which we all know that not to be true. After the attack on Gaines' San Francisco State, Gaines and advocacy groups expressed concerns over her safety and the unwillingness of students to engage with her ideas. Of course, fascists won't do that. Accuracy in Media, which exposes media bias and corruption and policy failings, launched a billboard campaign that calls on college campuses to show SFSU what inclusivity really looks like. And the president of that told Campus Reform that radical leftist students are using fascist tactics, exactly what we've been saying this whole time, to bully anyone who dares disagree with them. If these universities won't hold them accountable for their responsible behavior, Accuracy in Media will. Amen. He continues, ultimately, we aim to restore civility on college campuses. So that's the situation with Riley Gaines. And he's absolutely right. These universities won't hold their students accountable for their fascist ideologies and their beliefs and their actions, just like the Democratic Party won't hold BLM accountable for their riots and the billions of dollars of damage that they're doing in their cities. And that's why these people will continue to do it. We have these Democratic defense attorneys that won't prosecute criminals, and they'll let them stay out of jail. They'll get them out of jail, and more crime will just keep happening. That's why this Chicago stuff is so bad, because these mayors are not hard on crime like Republicans are. Say what you want about Republicans. If you go to jail and you got a conservative judge, you bro, you done messed up. You done messed up. You're gone. You're done. Like, no, you're done. And honestly, I think that's how it should be. No second chances. Go to jail, because you're a menace to society. We have to protect the people. If you read Hebrews 10, by the way, it talks about how after you've willingly sinned, after coming to the knowledge of Jesus Christ, no longer remains a sacrifice, which that was kind of misinterpreted by most people. But I kind of want to point to a part of that where it says, after that, it talks about how if people died on if people disobeyed Moses' law on the account of 2 or 3 more witnesses, they would be put to death. Then the Bible says, how much worse would it be for the person who has acknowledged Jesus as their Lord and Savior, accepted the grace that saved them from their sin, and they were sanctified by, and then they trampled the Son of God underfoot and basically counted the costs, and then they disobeyed him, right? And then it talks about how that person no longer has a sacrifice for their sin, but they have a fearful expectation of the wrath of God that will abide on them. And it's the same thing here. If you're not going to punish like the law, like if you're not going to enforce the law, how much worse do you think it's going to be? I mean, seriously. That might be a pretty bad comparison, but it's a similar outcome. You have wrath in the Hebrews 10 passage. You have a lot of wrath on your society in this article and in the outcomes of these policies. And Campus Reform did a really good job covering this, but sadly, this is Riley Gaines. What's happening to the students that don't have the name of Riley Gaines, that aren't a D1 athlete, that want to speak out about their conservative and Christian values, that want to stand up and say, you know what, this is not right. Men are not women and women are not men, and there are 2 genders, 2 sexes that God created, and anything outside of that is unbiblical and Satanism and sin. What happens when a student who's just a nobody, like myself, wants to come out and say something like that? What happens? Well, they don't get coverage. They don't get the eyes on them. They don't get the help. They don't get the resources. They don't get the platform. They just get canceled, and they don't get the job they wanted. They don't get the education. They just get ousted from society. And it's really sad, which is why more of us need to start talking. More of us need to speak up, because, you know, you have people like Riley Gaines who don't care. She'll lose her scholarship if she has to, but it's for the greater good. And especially Christians, in Titus 2, it talks about how we need to rebuke, exhort with all authority. Let no one despise you. Let no one tell you that you shouldn't do that. Let no one tell you that a situation or a topic is bigger than your opinions, right? As conservatives, we need to speak up. I've been told many times that, Jaden, you can't change that, so why should you speak out about it? I've been told, Jaden, it's bigger than you, right? You speaking out about it is not going to change. Well, guess what? Me and some friends lobbying in Montgomery, Alabama, of pro-life bills that we really feel like should pass through. Us sending surveys to politicians for them to fill out and claim and say that they're going to uphold life, and then them not doing it, and then me and the same people going out and door knocking against that politician not retaining his spot in the office, that's making a change. And I dare anyone to tell anyone that they can't do anything and that a situation is bigger than them. That's not true. Because if you told Rosa Parks that, if you told Harriet Tubman that, if you told all these people that, we still have the same, foolishness going on with racism that we did back then. And right now, we're fighting against something bigger than that. We're fighting against objective morality, objective truth. We're fighting against a ideology that is way bigger than racism. The biggest way to have these discussions, the best way, is on these college campuses, because these students are trying to find out who they are, find out what they believe by themselves. And if we can't have these conversations, if you're just going to shut down the other side, then the students are going to go on to their jobs and they're going to be miserable, and our country's going to go downhill. So we need to do something. We need to follow in Riley Gaines' footsteps, and y'all need to check out Campus Reform and follow their articles. Read those articles. See how crazy these college campuses are getting, because the downfall of our public institutions are on the horizon. And these schools are losing credibility really fast. But that'll be it. Thank you guys for checking out this video. God bless. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And go ahead and hit that follow button on our Rumble channel. And also smash that join button. It'll take you to our locals channel where you can further support the show and get access to additional content. God bless.